of national unity. One people, one nation, one destiny and creed.
All right. Hey, good afternoon. Just 34 minutes after 3 o'clock in Guyana. In the photo there is Malcolm Harripaul, lieutenant, retired lieutenant of the Guyana Defense Force. Malcolm Harripaul has been very, very vocal against the vagabonds in the installed PPP regime. He served with distinction in the Guyana Defense Force in the last general elections, and prior to that, he supported the coalition. He was very, very vocal during the recount process. Malcolm continued to be vocal against injustices and discrimination. He had quieted down over maybe after the elections and so forth, but he was still vocal via his Facebook page. Malcolm is a patriot. Malcolm Harripaul was today arrested by goons of the Guyana Police Force, goons of the Guyana Police Force sent to his house to arrest him by those vagabonds in the hierarchy of the PPP. And we are told that this was done as a result of some of the drug lords and some money launderers and gold smugglers. We know who those gold smugglers are, to arrest Malcolm Harripaul, lieutenant of the Guyana Defense Force, retired lieutenant. And now, why have they arrested Malcolm Harripaul? That's the big question. Some of you might be asking, right? Why? Malcolm Harripaul, okay, and Malcolm Harripaul, for some who do not remember, was part of a group after serving the Guyana Defense Force and so forth. Like I've said, with distinction, you see Malcolm, he's in the middle there. He is probably the second or probably the tallest. He is in the middle. That was a while back with his squaddies. And Malcolm linked up at one point with Ravi Dev. And Ravi Dev, over the years, he stopped now. For the past decade, he stopped calling on Indian Guyanese to join the military, to join the Guyana Defense Force, to join the police force, and so forth. So this whole thing about Malcolm Harripaul is nothing new. Malcolm always called on Indian Guyanese to join the police force and the Guyana Defense Force because they're hardly joining. Now, I don't want to venture much on that. Of course, Malcolm doesn't see eye to eye with Ravi Dev, and that has been the case for a while now. So, what is happening with Malcolm? Why is Malcolm Harripaul arrested? A man who served in the Guyana Defense Force. He is feeling it for his squaddies. He is feeling it for the current members of the Guyana Defense Force. He knows how Jagdeo and the other cronies in the installed regime feel about members of the Guyana Defense Force. He knows that. He knows it firsthand. And now let's get into what's really happening here. Sorry about that. This is what happened earlier today as they surrounded. We get to the photo where they surrounded his house. Sorry about that. We haven't gotten to that one, but they surrounded his house earlier today to arrest him for incitement of racial violence. I don't know what's since when that is these sort of things is a crime. This is what 6 days ago Malcolm has been at this here now. And you guys tell me what is wrong. This is Malcolm Harripaul. That's him there. I think he met with President Desmond Hoyt back then, and then he received an award under the coalition, a national award. Malcolm Harripaul, yes. Now, this is what Malcolm Harripaul, according to what is on, assuming that that's on his page, because these days on Facebook. But Malcolm says calling on PPP supporters, Indo-Guyanese, to enlist in the GDF to defend Guyana. This is nothing new with what Malcolm is calling for, mind you. Malcolm has always been calling for that for the past 2 decades I've known Malcolm. Malcolm said here now, why should only PNC Afro-Guyanese be called upon to sacrifice their lives? Now, come on, guys, come on. Tell me what is wrong with what Malcolm Harripaul has said. Malcolm is saying, calling on PPP supporters, Indo-Guyanese, to enlist in the Guyana Defense Force to defend Guyana. Why should only PNC Afro-Guyanese be called upon to sacrifice their lives? Again, what is wrong with what Malcolm Harripaul has said? What is wrong with that? Now, if this is a crime, you guys in the audience tell me, what crime has Malcolm Harripaul committed? What crime? What's the nature of the crime? Let's continue. Not so long ago, Malcolm Harripaul said again on what I assume it's his personal page here, Malcolm Harripaul is asking a question. Where are the Indo-Guyanese PPP supporters? Why isn't the PPP calling on its supporters to enlist in the Guyana Defense Force? Malcolm Harripaul again. Malcolm Harripaul, it's a long time photo of Malcolm. Malcolm Harripaul, his house was surrounded today by members of the Guyana Police Force to arrest this guy who served in the Guyana Defense Force for many years, left as a lieutenant. The question is, what crime has Malcolm Harripaul committed? You guys, I'll read your comment while we take a quick break. What crime?
Lead our people unto redemptive need. To play vital roles in building this land to be. A nation that will be great and for all to see. One people, one nation, one destiny and faith. I want to build this land that belongs to me.
Again, welcome back. If you're now joining us, Malcolm Harripaul, retired lieutenant of the Guyana Defense Force, arrested today by goons of PPP goons in the Guyana Police Force. They have arrested Mr. Malcolm Harripaul as a result of what he said. And these are some of the postings on his page. One says here, where are the Indo-Guyanese PPP supporters? Why isn't the PPP calling on its supporters to enlist in the Guyana Defense Force? A few years ago, the PPP joined with Malcolm Harripaul and Ravi Dev and others in Roar, Rise, Organize, and whatever. Roar. They were roaring about the same thing. Not rowing, they were roaring about the same thing. The PPP loved it then. But now Malcolm Harripaul is repeating the same thing, and it is considered incitement, racial incitement. It wasn't racial incitement then. If it wasn't racial incitement then, when the PPP embraced it, along with Ravi Dev, why, folks, why, as we would say in Guyana, all of a sudden it is considered racial incitement? Why? Why is it considered racial incitement now? And they embraced it back then. Why? And then let's see here. Not so long ago, Malcolm Harripaul, allegedly, because they seized his phone, and we've got to be careful now because of corruption in the Guyana police force, mind you. Corruption in the Guyana police force. We don't know anything that is posted within the past hour or 2 hours. We've got to be very careful because Malcolm Harripaul, via a post, has said that they seized his phone. They have seized his phone. So he has no phone, and so we got to be careful with what they post or what is posted on his page. Malcolm Harripaul, again, just to have you guys know, he was arrested this morning or earlier today. He was arrested and accused of racial incitement. Arrested and accused of racial incitement. This morning, this is what's happening. So if you're not being beaten, jailed, killed, they're dumping you. They're arresting. Look, sorry about that. This is what happened this morning. Malcolm Harripaul posted on his page. This is where Malcolm lives, somewhere not Virgin Ocean, across the river. Sorry, and these are the policemen who went. We're assuming that they're policemen because sometimes you don't know Phantom Squad people. You don't know people who work for gold smugglers and so forth. You don't know. But these are the men with no uniform. No, except one, I believe, that we're seeing there. But these are the individuals who went to arrest Mr. Malcolm Harripaul. For what? And Malcolm posted, police here to arrest me for inciting racial violence. What is wrong with these Pakus in the PPP regime? If they're not sending goons to beat innocent citizens up, as they have done to Brian McIntosh, also known as Brian Max. Look at what they have done now to Malcolm Harripaul. I just want you guys to see. I want you guys to see exactly what is happening in Guyana. It is going further down the gutter, not drain, further down the gutter. And I agree with Sherwin Green. Sherwin Green is saying we all should repost what Malcolm said. Absolutely. Because what Malcolm said is not a crime. And what Malcolm is saying, most Guyanese agree with him. And suddenly for the PPP, anything that you say that they don't like becomes a crime. If you say house slave, if you call one of the house slaves in the PPP a house slave, it becomes a crime. If you call them Nimakaram, it becomes a crime. But they can call people all manner of names, all sort of things. From hungry belly to low life, you name it, everything they can call people. But it's not a crime. It's not a crime. Remember one of the guys said that they're going to poison out, or a suggestion, mind you, during the elections, that they're going to poison all the vegetables and target persons of African descent. The PPP they weren't concerned about that. In fact, they may have been happy. May have been happy. Nobody was charged or nothing like that because the PPP likes those sort of things. Those are the sort of things that they love. They just love those sort of things. And this is where Guyana is heading right now. Again, if you're now joining us, this guy arrested, Malcolm Harripaul. That's Malcolm Harripaul. Visited me at my office. He and I protested a few times in front of the Marriott when they were trying to make at the back of Marriott a private beach. Malcolm Harripaul and I were there. Malcolm is always there. He was there during the recon process. And now all because Malcolm, and this was back in 2019, when Malcolm was embracing the coalition, they were attacking folks close to him. This is what they did to his 75-year-old mother's house and all manner of things. So the things that we are seeing now, for some of us, we're not surprised that they're targeting Malcolm Harripaul. They've targeted Brian Max not so long ago. Now they're on to Malcolm Harripaul. We don't know where Malcolm is at this point in time. All we know, and we saw it there earlier, police here to arrest me for inciting racial violence. And the simple question that I'm asking you guys again, Malcolm Harripaul says, where are the Indo-Guyanese PPP supporters? Why isn't the PPP calling on its supporters to enlist in the GDF? Again, when Malcolm said that a few years ago, the PPP were in office. They never considered that to be incitement. It was not racial incitement at all. The PPP embraced it as part of their policy to enlist East Indian Guyanese into the Guyana Defense Force and Police Force. They worked night and day for that to happen. They embraced Malcolm Harripaul. They embraced Ravi Dev for that. They loved it. But now it becomes a crime. For them now it is racial incitement. A simple question, a legitimate question. Now this is what Malcolm on his page. PPP supporters, Indo-Guyanese, always cussing down America, hoisting Hamas flags. They get all gold fields, forestry concessions, and contracts. But when time to defend Guyana, them running and hiding behind America, saying how America gonna fight Venezuela. Typical C word, according to typical C word mentality. Always want somebody else to fight for them. The black man in GDF must fight. Now his white man must fight. But not them, unless of course is rum shop or wedding house, then them gonna chop up or fighting for property. Then them gonna chop up, chop up, and so forth. This is racial incitement according to the Pakus, the vagabonds in the PPP. Where is the racial incitement? This is the truth. This is nothing but the truth, guys. We have been saying, why those who have been marching the streets in support of Hamas, they're marching the streets. Why don't they go and fight at the border? Those who love to chop up each other and bust up their guns and all these sort of things and kill innocent people, why don't they go at the border and fight? It is the truth. Why are they so hurt with what Malcolm Harripaul has said? They give all their friends and cronies gold fields and forestry concessions and these sort of things. Malcolm is speaking the truth. And contracts, let them go and fight. I am saying it too. Let them go and fight. Where is the crime? It's like you can't have an opinion? You're stirring up racial violence? You're inciting? What is Guyana coming to now? All of you guys watching, you guys tell me where Malcolm Harripaul has gone wrong. And what is so different from what Malcolm is saying compared to what some of us have been saying and some of you guys have been saying for a while now? What is so, and let me see if you guys know what the difference is. Going once, going twice. Let me see if you guys know what the difference is. There is a difference. Let me see if you guys know what that difference is.
I want to build this land that belongs to me. Plant on this land to build our economy. Leave for our children a future that will be free from all kinds of crops and live independency.
All right, welcome back. I don't want anybody to come with their twisted agenda here to say that a man was badly beaten by PPP goons and then come right here now to say that Mad Max deserves this. Wrong program. Absolutely wrong program to come and say that he deserves this. Wrong program. That's not the democracy we're fighting for. Wrong program. Mad Max doesn't deserve this. Now, let's head back to Malcolm Harripaul. Malcolm Harripaul, the PPP is upset with Malcolm Harripaul for saying what he's saying because of Malcolm's ethnicity. He's got to shut up. And he knows, the PPP knows very well, Jack Dale and those goons in the PPP, they know that coming from Malcolm Harripaul, a respectable man like Malcolm Harripaul, that people will listen. PPP supporters will listen. And so they quickly want to send a message to Malcolm and others like Malcolm to shut him up, to threaten him, and all manner of things. But Malcolm is one person in Buckingham. He served his country. He served his country well. He received a national award for serving his country. Now that's a real soldier. This is what, again, he's saying PPP supporters and all of you guys on this live, tell me, where is the crime? PPP supporters, Indo-Guyanese, Malcolm is saying, always cussing down America. They're always cussing America. Oh, America, stay out. Didn't Priya Manikchan cuss up a U.S. ambassador, Brent Hart, in Guyana at the American ambassador's residence? Cuss him out. Where is the lie? They're always cussing down America, hoisting Hamas flags. Well, we saw recently Donald Ramatar with Hamas flag and others. I think Shell Mohammed, who is wanted according to U.S. law enforcement agencies and according to Reuters report for a bunch of things in the U.S. They get all gold fields, which is true, forestry concessions, which is true, and contracts, which is true. But when time to defend Guyana, they're running and hiding behind America, which is true. Some of them run and hide behind, where is it? Dubai now. So where it is that Malcolm Harripaul is lying. Where is this former soldier of the Guyana Defense Force is lying? Where is the lie? But no, under this dictatorship that we have right now, they surrounded his house, arrested him, grab his phone away from him for a crime. What is the crime? What is the crime? And for this, you're going to send a banload of policemen, probably with phantom squad people, and probably with security guards from the corrupt criminal private security firms as well, to arrest a man for speaking the truth. Malcolm Harripaul has got to be careful. They may target him. They may want to assassinate him, just like they may want to assassinate Brian Max and probably others as well. That is how the PPP operates. But the people are watching. They're watching. The people are watching. Malcolm Harripaul in the green there and his squaddies. Malcolm Harripaul there receiving an award from a pin from then President Desmond Hoyt. This is where Guyana is going right now, guys. This is where Guyana is going right now. We'll be back tonight on Straight Up. We'll give you an update. We'll find out what's going on, what's the latest with Malcolm, whether he is still in the lockups. More likely, he is still in the lockups. They're going to try to punish him, put him through the 72 hours, and just let him sit there while the system works. But Dharamlal never got that walk through. Heinous crimes were alleged against Dharamlal. But a couple hours in the station, walk out like sweet pie, and that's it. Others got to spend 72 hours. Brian Max, close to 72 hours. Malcolm Harripaul, arrested. I'm almost certain they'll keep him there overnight. I'll be surprised if they lose him. Because Jack Dale, as vindictive and corrupt as those guys are in the hierarchy of the PPP, will say, let him stay there as a form of punishment. We've got to keep our eyes out on Malcolm because they may very well, the PPP hierarchy may very well want to harm him. And we've got to keep an eye out for Malcolm Harripaul. So that's the latest. Former lieutenant of the Guyana Defense Force, arrested by PPP goons in the Guyana Police Force. PPP goons. PPP goons. Free Malcolm Harripaul. Free this former Guyana Defense Force lieutenant. He has committed no crime. He spoke the truth. Let PPP supporters go at the border as well. Let those Phantom Squad people go at the border as well. Let those who have been granted all those concessions, forestry concessions like Sioux and others, let them go at the border and fight as well. Let all those people who are beating up policemen at Bath Settlement and beating up nurses and stoning school buses and so forth, let them go at the border and fight. Let them go and fight. Let those who wanted to take away Lincoln Lewis land, let them go and fight. Let them go at the border and fight. Let them join the soldiers and go and fight. Or let them just take over and say they're going to fight. Let them do it. Let Jack Dave go and fight. Let Irfan go and fight. But are they going to do it? No. They ran away like pussycats all the way to Dubai because money there, right? Money is more important than country. Those vagabonds. I'll see you guys later on tonight. And Rickford Burke also, after Straight Up, Rickford Burke will be dealing with the matter too. So see you guys here as well. So long.
We try to work and learn from our history. To end the fight, become by the victory. To live in a one nation, one destiny and free. Lead our people unto their destiny. To play vital roles in building this land to be. A nation that will be great and for all to see. One people, one nation, one destiny and free. I want to build this land that belongs to me.